do it. Be one of the rare doers in the world, because no one loves the product and believes in the product like you do. No one. If I didn't have clients, I wouldn't be here. We say in our company, the bigger we get, the smaller we get. I stepped in front of the camera and our company exploded, is pretty much what it was. 1 million people make a good turtleneck. 1 million people make a good jacket. What is the difference? And the thing is, the founder is the only one who can tell the story in the way that is probably the most authentic and the most honest. It's been a real blessing too, because I've gotten to really authentically connect with women.
Okay, folks, today we're talking to Ripley Rader, who is the founder of Ripley Rader Apparel. You've probably seen her on the Instagram machine because she has a massive brand now. And if you're a woman who wants chic, comfortable, beautiful, go anywhere clothing, Ripley Rader is the brand to buy. And what I learned when I met her a couple of weeks ago at the Meta Strategy Day that they hosted for all of these incredible female entrepreneurs, and she was our keynote speaker at this Meta event, on stage, so poised, so well-spoken. She shared her creator and founder journey of Ripley Rader, which is a Los Angeles-based, size-inclusive fashion brand, and it's rooted in confidence, kindness, and clean lines. So what once began as a one-woman operation in her kitchen has grown into a nationally recognized label worn by all the celebrities and icons. She's been featured in Vogue, Forbes, InStyle, USA Today, LA Magazine, and more. And what I loved about her story is everyone's talking about Ripley Rader. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you're wearing it. I'm sure you purchase it, or you know someone who has and does. She started off with her iconic jumpsuit 15 years ago, which ended up in Fred Segal. And she shares her journey on our podcast together about how she has built this massive company, which everyone is talking about, and she makes it look so easy. And what she's going to share with us is that it's actually been a 15-year journey, guys. This is not an overnight success. It has been a step-by-step process. She and her husband co-own the company together. She's never taken a penny of investor financing. She has self-funded this juggernaut of a company. All of her products are made in the United States of America. And one of the stories she tells that you'll hear is that her business has gotten so big and so successful that she actually had to buy all of the fabric in the United States of America that she could purchase of her product, the fabric she had to consume so that she could keep up with orders. She's grown over 3,000% over the last couple of years. And you know, what's so cool about her story is she talks about what catapulted her into this epic success was her willingness and her courage to turn the camera on herself and start to become the founder-led spokesperson for her brand. So for many, many years, she was behind the camera and she wanted to be behind the scenes. And it was only when she made the courageous choice to step out and step in front of the camera that this business has taken off 3,000% growth. That is insane. So I'm excited for you to hear this conversation today, because if you're sitting in fear right now of being seen, if you are sitting in fear of sitting in front of a camera and telling your personal story or your journey, and I certainly know for myself that I have sat in that place of fear and I've thought, oh, I'm just going to have the celebrity do the selling and I'll sign celebrity talent and we'll co-create brands. And what I've realized as I've been willing to step into authenticity and into vulnerability is people want to hear from you as the founder, and they want to hear about your founder story, which is really what is the juice, guys. That's the juice, because really anyone can buy pants from anywhere, right? They can buy beauty products from anywhere. They can buy handbags and sunglasses and all the things that we create in the world. They can buy them anywhere. Why do they choose to purchase them from you? And what is the connection to you and the brand? And why is your personal story inspiring? It is the juice. And so in today's conversation, you're going to hear from her on how she made that choice to do that and what the impact has been to her business and her success. So listen up. All right, today we are talking to Ripley Rader. Everybody looks at you and says you had an overnight success.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Everyone thinks it just happened overnight because if you're female and you've looked on your Instagram over the last 2 months, I will guarantee you that you have been in the midst of a Ripley Rader ad,
Yes.
or you have seen your apparel line. I met you at the Meta event that they have, their annual strategic event, and you were the keynote speaker. And once I heard your story, I understood why they asked you to be the keynote.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if we could kick off, because those listening today, I'm guaranteeing 80% are saying, I know exactly who she is and I've seen her brand and I want to hear how she built it.
Yeah.
And for those 20% who have yet to meet you, but are going to be meeting you today for the first time in this conversation, give us an overview of your current business. What is the Ripley Rader brand? Who's your avatar and what do you solve for?
First of all, 80-20, that's really generous. So thank you for that. I will take it. We are a brand that makes clothes for women who need to get shit done. We are a brand made in America, which is very important to me, in our own community, downtown Los Angeles, who makes really chic clothing that are very comfortable to wear. And that comes from my experience with women, being a woman, feeling like I need to be armored up in life, and I can't be that in uncomfortable clothing. And so when we nailed that down, I also come from the dance world. I was a Broadway girl for a while. And coming from that world, I just realized that I want to be able to eat lunch and not have to unzip my pants. I want to be able to inhale and exhale and take deep breaths that I know I need to take when I'm in these meetings or if I'm in a social situation that is like stressful. And so we make clothes that support the lives of women. And we do it ethically, which is really important to me.
And chic. I think that's
I think that's it. I think women came out of the pandemic and they wanted to feel sexy and strong and chic again, but no one wanted to wear hard clothes. And I definitely don't. I mean, you're hard pressed to see me in a pair of jeans. And now that I have Ripley Rader pants, I just don't, I don't do it. Because I can do more in my life when I am comfortable.
And one of the things I love so much about your personal story, your journey of being an entrepreneur, was a couple of things. They're unrelated to one another, but I want us to touch on them because I think whoever is listening to this and hasn't met you yet, like your brand, and doesn't know.
Yeah.
What I was so impressed by is people who build multi tens of millions of hundreds of millions of dollars of direct to consumer business online. You would think that they've had this massive D2C experience, that they're in deep tech, that they're, digital marketers, that they eat for breakfast, direct response, and that this is like who they are. And the thing that was so incredible about you is that you were willing to walk through what it took to build this business and reach a customer and love on her through direct to consumer. But as you said, I started sewing at 15. What I knew how to do is create clothing that fit the body, that felt good. And so you are product first.
Always product first. I say this all the time. We are 15 years in and an over 10 years in, and then suddenly an overnight success for the past 4 years. So everyone's just like, wow, she just came out. And I was like, we took 10 years to cultivate the brand, to build the brand. I said this when I was speaking, we don't have any outside money. I don't come from a trust fund. I built this from nothing. And I think there's a sense of going like, we weren't in a rush. I didn't want to take on investors to get there faster. I wanted to create a house built on rock. But what that means is that you have to be okay going a little slower than everyone else. I often say I'm the little engine that could. So what we did is we took many, many years to just grow the company, really figure out who our audience was, not because it was strategic, but because it was a necessity. We didn't have the which was a blessing for us looking back. So we really honed in what was important. So then when we could invest in marketing, we know who to hit. We knew how to get her. We knew how to love on her and speak to her honestly. I don't believe in dumb ads. I don't believe that women are dumb. They don't need a bow around things. I speak to the needs, what I think I need and want. And I think so. That's what we did with our marketing. So it took us a long time to build that. And I think so often we're in competition with these other brands or we see what's happening. You always see the glossy top line. You never see what actually is. The numbers are. And we've maintained profitability. We didn't make a profit for a few years. And I rented out half my house. I ate ramen when we were paying people. I mean, literally, we drove a car into the ground so much so that the radio station, like PBS, like no one would take the car. I mean, like that, our old Saab, like we drove it into the ground. And I think there's a sense of like, we chose that so we could build this. And you can't have everything unless you have different kinds of resources. And I was okay recognizing what my resources were and what then my trajectory could be.
I have so many questions about this because it's one of the most inspiring parts of your story. When you started 15 years ago, how were you selling to customers? Were you selling through Facebook?
You know, when we first started, I sold to friends. I would have these parties at my house and I would sell the clothes. So I got started because a buyer from Fred Siegel saw me at a concert, asked what jumpsuit I was wearing, and told me that if I made it in America, I could sell at her store. This is why I love women, because they took risks. Over and over again, women have taken risks on me that I don't know if I would have taken on me. So it was incredible. So we, in effect, started in wholesale, but not large scale. So what I did to get direct to consumer in there a little bit more, we were in a few boutiques and we only did jumpsuits at this point. I would throw parties and I would sell the jumpsuit at wholesale rates. And then I would call friends of friends and say, do you know anyone famous? At the time, all of my friends were assistants to famous people. So like Sandra Oh wore my clothes, Felicity Huffman wore my clothes. I'm trying to think right off the bat, those were the first two. Amy Schumer, I mean, people like that. And so I was able to get on a few people, but that's how we started. And then we started with wholesale boutiques, a small amount of boutiques for the first probably 2 years. And then we slowly built D2C. But our D2C didn't pop until after COVID. It was starting to take off really, like we were always slow building, but it started to feel really crazy right before. And then COVID, we all were making masks and things like that. And then after COVID, it exploded.
Hey, gorgeous friends, just for a second, if you would do me a huge favor, if Potential to Powerhouse has touched your heart, inspired you, made you pause, made you think differently, been a resource for you, would you do me the favor to right now take a second to give us a rating and review? It makes such a difference, and we so appreciate hearing from you. Thank you. High five. Remind me, are you building this with your husband?
Yes, I am. So I had it for about 3 years before he was officially on board. He was working actually with other fashion companies, consulting. He's not in fashion. He's an engineer with an MBA, like he says it. But he was working with other companies in some consulting and some business stuff. And we just decided the company was at a point where we needed a CFO, COO. And one time we installed an air conditioning unit and we did it effortlessly. And we both looked at each other and thought we could run a business together. And so that was literally, that's the funny story we tell people all the time. So we've worked hand in hand for the past 10 years together. And we are a bit of an anomaly in that we really enjoy working together. He handles quite a bit of the operations and I'm more of the comms and design side. But we're involved in everything. We both do production. We both do forecasting, demand planning, all of that we do together. And then he sits in on all of our castings, all of our fit tests. So it's it's nice because we live and breathe it. We also don't have children. I spoke about this a lot at the Meta conference as well. I chose not to have children, not only because of the business, but that definitely played into it. I knew I couldn't do both in the way that I wanted to with the resources I had. We live and breathe this business. We really, really do. And I think that kind of dedication and that scrappiness is why we are where we are.
I would think so.
Yes.
Because truly, I always try to unpack for female entrepreneurs who are in a business build mode, how they can also make relationship work, especially if their partner is not an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, you either you have a supportive partner or you have no partner at all.
Right.
I mean, that was the truth. And the thing is, and I'm not saying you can't do this as a mother. I've seen tons of mothers. I mean, I'm an anomaly not having children. And as a founder. But your partner has to support your journey. And your journey is going to be all-encompassing, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And so I say to young entrepreneurs all the time, and I really don't care about men, so I talk to women a lot. I care. Men are fine. But for me, my passion is female founders and young women. And I say to them a lot, you have to, it's the whole thing of you have to choose you first.
Yes.
And that means your passions, and that means your drive and your potential.
Yes.
And nothing can undermine that. Now, then things change when, you can do everything. You can't do everything at the same time. My head of brand, who is my right hand, she's amazing. She had beautiful twins a year ago. Perfection. They're just the cutest. She took a year off. She couldn't, and even now she's 2 or 3 days a week. So there's this sense of you can do everything. You just can't do it at the same time. And
that's right.
It's a lie to pretend that you can. And when it looks like you can, that means you have help.
Right.
And I think we have to talk about that more openly because then it frees everyone up because there's no shame in having help and there's no shame in going, I can't do everything I want to do at this time because I don't have the resources to do that or the bandwidth, whatever that is.
Totally. And, I do the same. I'm very passionate about helping entrepreneurial women on their journey because I think I did my last company build with so much white knuckling and so much intense striving and efforting that I overstimulated my stress response, right?
Well, yeah, that happens.
That happens. And
it's tricky.
It's tricky. And so I now invest a lot of my time in helping female entrepreneurs on a path that gives them a different way of looking at it or thinking, or just share the tools that I used in order to scale that really were game-changing for me to go from 30 to 50 or 50 to 75 million or whatever the number was at that time, that I think back and say, gosh, had I known about this tool earlier, had I integrated this into my SOP and how I thought about my business, I could have saved myself so much stress and struggle.
I think for me, I think there's two things. I think integration, I think you're going to have to recognize that this is going to become part of you and you're it. And then also, I really believe that when you're scaling, it will feel out of control as you scale. There's so much fear. You have to go boldly anyway. You just push through it, acknowledge it, have faith in yourself and your gut, and don't go too fast. I think that's just because I think when you move too quickly, it's really easy to lose your pillars as a company and then your pillars as a human. I say all the time, I want to stay healthy and I'd like to stay married, like those things. And I think that is something that isn't talked about enough. I think that you're supposed to do this and everything else can fall apart, because if you want it badly enough, and that's just not like, you see too many women with CEO females and founders with autoimmune issues that they're dealing with and all of these things because they've been completely dysregulated because they have put everything they have. And so I think it's the same thing. Hindsight's 2020. The idea of, wow, regulation with the scale is important. And it's not a race. It's just not sprint. It's a marathon. And I think that that's something that once we embrace, I think is an excellent, important thing to remember as you scale.
And so talk to us about, just from a supply chain perspective and making your product in the United States, like, first of all, what a gift, right? With what's happened in the last 24 months. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's tariffing. Thread is tariffed right now. So we're still getting hit, but I didn't raise my prices. I didn't transfer prices to my buyers. I just didn't do it. I think that people are dealing with high prices everywhere, and I thought we have the ability to not do that. And I just thought I'll save money other places rather than pass it on to my buyers, to my customers. Where it's a blessing for me is putting money back into my community. That is my pillar, my resistance, my stand. It's my purpose. And it's made it so clear to me what is important with my brand, because these kind of challenges make you really lean when you explore what matters to you as a business owner.
Totally. And how has your supplier kept up with your pace and your explosive growth?
We haven't. We forecast for the fabric, let's say we need. Well, we're growing we grew 3,000% in, 2.5 years. So the amount of emails we've sent out, that's like, we bought all the fabric in all of America for this type of fabric. It's going to be 3 weeks before we can get your piece to you. We have less of that now because we're a little bit better but in the beginning, I remember watching an article about how Birkenstock during the pandemic was 1 million orders in the hole because they couldn't have guessed that they had that. And you think Birkenstock, they've been around forever, whatever. And so the truth is, we haven't been able to keep up with it. Hopefully every year we get better and better about that. But I think it's an interesting thing. I'm not a gatekeeper at all, and I'll tell my trials and tribulations, like, we're doing our best to keep up with it. But sometimes, let's say a color hits that you're like last season, we had an emerald velvet pant that sold beyond anyone. No one could imagine it. And then, so this year we based our sales on that massive, incredible sales. And it sold, we did it in a different color, which we thought would be as popular. It's gorgeous, but it hasn't hit the same way. And we're like, okay, so you get a couple hits, you get a couple misses, and then you sit on fabric and those kind of things are just part of the process of learning how to forecast. But we continually keep growing and go to our suppliers. Okay, you ready to bring in? Now we bring in pallets of fabric, which lasts us a few months. So we're operating on larger scales now, which gives us a little bit of security. But no, this is the thing that no one talks about, is that no matter where you are in the journey, you're dealing with the same version, a different version of the same thing.
Totally.
Yes, that's just
It's a blessing or a curse, right? Because, I mean, first of all, I always tell people like sales cures all ails. I promise that it's better to outsell and run out than it is to clearly build inventory against a plan that doesn't come to fruition because your cash is tied up and then you need to figure out what to do. In the case of how you pressure test or get input from your community, do you have a mechanism for which you bring community into your design process? Do you have focus groups? Do you do it as like top secret and then the big reveal? Like, how do you think about that?
so many things are based on my mood and our bandwidth in the company. But about once a year, I'll bring together tastemakers that understand the ethos of our company. We have stylists, influencers, mentors of mine, lighthouses, businesswomen, and I'll do a dinner and we'll talk about what we're wanting in our closet. I call them the style councils, which we do once a year. I'd like to do it every season, but we usually don't have the bandwidth for that. My team is extraordinarily creative and they live and breathe the brand as well. And so we have a national sales director who is directly connected to our buyers and comes to us with extraordinary merchandising and creative thoughts. Our head of brand and myself, and we design the collection together. So I don't outsource designers. And so we have every season, we have 15 to 20 new styles per season to bring to the table. But we are a capsule collection. Like, we bring in some fun things, of course, every season, but we really want to have clothes that women can wear year after year, totally trendless. That's our focus, truly. And any new thing we make should be a version of that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
It's very cool. And it makes it easy to mix and match and just know that you don't have to think.
And my goal and what happens, because we're so sort of tied in, is that every season then builds off the next season. You could have purchased something in 2024 and it still work with the new charcoal color that's coming out for fall winter 26. That's the world we want to live in. And so I don't want women to buy something, keep it for a year, and then be like, well, what am I going to wear it with? What am I going to? And you're like, absolutely not. These are pieces that we want in the closet for a long time until you wear them out. Like, I have a jump that I've had for, I don't know, 8 years. It's like, I need a new one. I just keep wearing it. I dry clean it. I keep, and so it's a situation of going, I think let's order things that we can wear for years and years and years and become sort of staples in our closet.
And what about the size of business that you're in today? What has been your personal biggest growth trajectory or your personal caveat? Maybe something you didn't realize once the business got to this size that you're stretching yourself into.
Yeah, I think, and I imagine mothers feel this to an extraordinary degree, but everyone needs a part of me. And I'm never giving enough to anyone. I think that's the biggest struggle. In that, I am, but that takes a lot of hours. We work 6 days a week in the office, usually, Ben and I do. And we just renovated our design studio and event space. So we've been working on that a lot as well. And I think what I'm realizing the biggest struggle, and I think a lot of women can associate with this, is that there's never enough of me to go around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to be back supporting we do shipping and receiving in-house as well. I want to be back there for Black Friday, packing boxes in solidarity with my team. I want to be that. And I want to be there, cheering everyone along as they do these numbers that are insane for Black Friday. In the same breath, I have to be on a photo shoot. I do all the photography for the company. And we're shooting for the next collection. And then we have, then I have design meetings. It's all of this stuff. And I think that it's the biggest struggle and then the biggest opportunity for growth for me to go, how can I do this in a way that doesn't hurt my nervous system, that keeps me sane and grounded, and then also make sure that everyone on my team feels heard, seen, and respected. And for me, the opportunity for growth there is just open communication, saying, I want to be here with you guys, but I have to do this event at our new space. I want to be here. I can't do this right now, but give me 2 weeks and I'm all yours. And I think that is the opportunity for growth. And as a founder and as an entrepreneur, establishing that for yourself is a real superpower, I think.
Totally.
And I'm still flailing on that, but I do really try to do that.
And in terms of your direct-to-consumer business and what that trajectory looks like for you, how much of you have really seen the power of what social media can do and what Meta can do and what that flywheel looks like? Like, talk
Yeah.
us through like your own real life laboratory experience of what it's been.
Yeah, I mean, I stepped in front of the camera and our company exploded, is pretty much what it was. Not because, of anything else except my passion for the company, my speaking honestly about the product. And so I think being vulnerable enough to put yourself out there. It was funny, I was walking around the office today because in one of our ads, I don't know, in online, you never know if anyone's real or fake. But this woman commented, this woman, referring to me in my ad, speaking directly to the camera, is so annoying. How could you buy anything from her? It's like the thing of like, but this one, and you're like, oh wow, I'm just trying my best here. We're all just trying to do our best. But it was such a lovely thing for me to go, you know what? We're all just here. Like, it's a humbling thing. It's a thing to go, don't let the bastards get you down. But I think that vulnerability of being open enough to possibly be cringy, like I'm almost 45. My team is run by very young, brilliant women who I listen to. Their ideas are fantastic. And so they're pretty good about letting me know when I should do stuff and when I shouldn't, or if something I do is dumb. But I think there's a vulnerability in that. But when I stepped into the camera and started working hand in hand with my marketing company, it literally changed the trajectory of our company in a very real way. And have other women speak about it as well. So then you combine a founder content with user content, authentic content, real clients. It's magic. Because women are not dumb. They want to be spoken to in a way that they can relate to. Everybody, like I got on the Today Show, not because a PR team paid for it, but because the producer's sister wore my pants to Thanksgiving and could eat all day and looked fabulous. That's what it's gotta be. So you've gotta be authentic and you've gotta be passionate about it, but then you have to have the product back you.
Ripley, talk to this group, because I thought one of the things that I took away from your personal journey was the day that you made the decision to step in front of the camera. And
Yeah.
I think the founder story, you're magnetic and energetic and real. And I think they deserve to hear how you decided to do that and what happened.
Well, I was forced to, really. I mean, it was just one of those things where I had this incredible marketing company and there are a bunch of youngsters out of London. And then my team, which are young, brilliant women, it was sort of just a situation. I said, I don't want to be I was an actress for many years. I was a Broadway girl, showgirl for many years. I had done that. And I thought, okay, now I don't have to do that anymore. I spent a million years focusing on this for so long, being on stage, that I was really hesitant to do it. I just kept saying, I want the product to speak for itself. I don't want to be anywhere in it. my product and my name. That was it, you know? And dumb. It was so dumb. The fact that I couldn't see that people needed to know what we were about. Because the thing is, there's no context. It's like 1 million people make pants. 1 million people make a good turtleneck. 1 million people make a good jacket. What is the difference? And the thing is, the founder is the only one who can tell the story in the way that is probably the most authentic and the most honest, if you're willing to do that. So I was sort of forced to do it. I started out with a couple of videos just going, you know, here are my pants. Here's what I love. Here's who I am. And then it started going, okay, this is working. So we're going to need you to do X, Y, Z. We're going to need you to talk about the collection. What were you inspired by? What matters to you as a founder with the company? And then once I started doing that, I recognized, like, I just let my insecurities go. I don't know if I let them go, but I let them live side by side with me. And it's been a real blessing too, because I've gotten to really authentically connect with women. We have these stories about women coming out of divorces or sickness and wearing my clothes when it matters. And that matters to me. And because I'm not untouchable. Like, I'm someone that they can DM and I'm going to talk back to them. This creates, we say in our company, the bigger we get, the smaller we get. The bigger our company grows, the more authentic I want our connections within that growth to be, which means that I talk to a lot of clients, and what a gift. Like, if I didn't have clients, I wouldn't be here. So I think that's something that you have to get out of your own way.
Totally.
That's it.
Ripley, what did those first videos look like? Like, what did you do with them? Did you put ad spend against them? Did you go on and do like...
They were so bad. I looked back at them the other day and I was like, oh, they weren't lit well. I had a weird set. I tried to create a set, which was silly because I should have just shot like in my desk. But we put them on our organic feed, which, you know, was growing. And then the marketing team was like, this is good, but can maybe light it a little bit, or don't do a 3-minute video. Like, could you do a 30-second take on like why you like the clothes? And then I took their notes, and then I started really simplifying, but making sure that in the simplification, the quality was great and the connection was great. But the beginning ones were just fuzzy me going, I was inspired by this, and it's all authentic. You know, it's all, God bless the broken road a little bit. Like, I appreciate those videos. Also, there's no shame in that. Like, I'm proud that I did those videos. I've grown from them, but you can't start perfect. And so many people don't start because they're worried it's not going to be perfect. Well, perfection doesn't exist.
It's so true.
Yeah. So just do it. Be one of the rare doers in the world.
Yes.
You have to do it.
Yes.
Get out of your own way. I mean, it's really, because no one loves the product and believes in the product like you do. No one.
Totally. And, you know, Gary Vee says this so beautifully, as brusque and as kind of brash as he is in his delivery and his style. I think, and I haven't met Gary yet, but I've met many members of his team. I think he's probably tough as nails on the outside and just a soft honey bear on the inside. But what he says so eloquently in his brash way is, you guys, we were given this tiny slice of life. Life is very, very short. And if you are walking into this lifetime, walking around afraid of what people think about you, who are listening to you on a screen from their bedroom or in a kitchen, or, you know, and making judgment about you. And that's your reason for why you're not going out and making yourself available and standing for your brand as the founder facing. Like, are you going to be 80, 90, 100 years old sitting on your deathbed going, I wish I had done it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And also, like, people are going to talk. Let them talk. But there's this also thing of like, you have to face that vulnerability then. There is a vulnerability in it. There is a true flaying of your soul. Because not
Yes.
only are you putting your product out, which is your soul flayed, you're putting your face out, which is even is another layer of that. And so I just acknowledge all of that exists.
Yeah.
And acknowledge that maybe on days where I do a ton of filming, or if I do, then I might need to be really good to myself that evening. I might need to take, I call it creative alone time. Like maybe I need a little bit of alone time. Maybe I need the people around me to be really gentle with me that day. Like those are the things that you can do it. Know there will be a cost. There's always a cost.
Yeah.
And maybe that cost is, Brene Brown calls it a vulnerability hangover. So
Yeah.
maybe you have that vulnerability hangover and you recognize that that exists as well. And so you need people around you to be really kind and lovey to you because you need a little extra. Or you
Totally.
need to be alone. And though that's how you maintain it. So you don't just do it and then chip away at yourself. You fill back up. You do it again, you fill back up, and you do it again. But that's the only way that you can have any sort of sustainability in this vulnerable place that founders put themselves in all the time.
And Ripley, I knew you when you walked up on stage. I knew you, but I didn't know why I knew you. I just said to myself when I saw you, I was like, I've seen her before. I know who she is. I knew you. So how much are you approached in public, in the airport, when you're
It's
least
starting to
expecting?
happen more. I think this year is the first time where I'd like go into an airport lounge or something and they'll be like, whoa, are you Ripley Rader? Are those your pants? Because I'm always wearing my clothes, And so that's happening more to me. Or I'll be at a party and they'll be like, wait, I know you. And I'll say, you might have seen me online. I have these pants. And then as soon as I say that. But the funny thing is we have a full collection. We have 127 SKUs a season. But everyone knows me from the pants, and that's just the gateway drug to Ripley Rader. Then you see that we make a lot of really other beautiful other products. But yeah, so it's becoming a fun thing, and I think getting the opportunity to talk to women like you, whom I admire, and the communities that you've built are so impressive and inspiring to me. That growing that is so meaningful because then I'm like, when I see someone who's seen me on your podcast, then we can share that, which is happening more and more too. And I'm really appreciative to the platforms I'm getting to speak on. You know what I'm saying? It feels,
of course.
yeah, it feels very personal. Like none of this is lost on me. I can't even act full. All of it is a very cool experience to me. And there's that beautiful meme online where it's like, none of me is nonchalant. Like we just chalant. I'm a chalanter. And that's me. I think that I don't have a desire to pretend that I didn't work my ass off to
Totally.
have notoriety with my brand. And so now that we do, it's really, and the thing is that a lot of people acknowledge that, yes, it is me, it is my brand, but it is we have a team that makes every photo shoot happen. I might shoot it, but my women are styling it. They're telling me what to shoot. They're producing the shoot. They're making sure the models show up. It's all of that. So like a good CEO, I get all the light. I take all the credit, but it is an absolute team effort. And no one is more important than someone else. I think in my company, if we don't have someone making boxes, those orders don't go out. And this idea of status, I don't believe in. I think it's ridiculous, and I think that it undermines a really beautiful work environment. And so I really try to focus on that and how much bigger this company is than me these days. It used to be me then and an 18-year-old. Now it's a lot more.
If people want to follow your personal story or your personal journey, where do you recommend they go?
I would say probably my personal Instagram might be the most little peek into my existence. I think that I try to talk about, I don't do a ton of talking to camera. I'd like to do more. It's a neat opportunity to sort of see what we are into, what I value, where I'm headed, where the company is headed, and like where things fall flat. Like if there's a day where I'm like, well, this was a failure, things like that. So I would say my personal Ripley Rader, and of course the shop Ripley Rader, you see all the beautiful pieces that we make and things like that. But my personal one, it is probably a little bit more candid, And then you get to see pictures of my beautiful husband and my sweet little puppy,
And do you see a book in your future?
Yeah, I would like that. I think that I think a lot of books are written before people had something really to say. I work a lot with teen girls. I have a nonprofit for teen girls. A podcast with teen girls. I would like to figure out a way to tie in those worlds of my experience. I read Tyra Banks' book when I was like 20 years old, and I remember thinking, wow, who knew that this would inspire me like this? And so I think there's a world in which I would like to write something that could be inspiring to not only someone who has done it and could see a shared experience with my story, but also young women who aren't there yet. I think I'm a few years from that. I'd like to really be someone who has had a real journey, and we're definitely getting there. But there's a little bit more juice we can squeeze, I think, out of it.
Oh man, Ripley, it's been so good talking to you. You're such an inspiration, and there are so many of us rooting you on the sidelines.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm honored to be here. And I think throughout this process, if we can all be a little bit easier on ourselves on where we are, looking up to people is great, but believing in yourself is so much more important, and believing in your abilities. Idiot people start companies all the time. Like, you can do it. That's
totally. Amen.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful to be here, and thank you so, so much, honestly.
Thank you. All right, signing off, friends.